While hunched figures around him slurped frozen soup, Mikhail calculated everything to the tiniest detail. He knew when the perimeter was least guarded. He knew the storm would keep the guards by the stoves, not patrolling with rifles. He even knew where the fence had a rotting plank. But he didn't know the most important thing. Can hope be trusted? One prisoner, Petrov, had already vanished 6 hours earlier, last seen near the kitchen. Then silence. No screams, no shots, just a faint blood stain on the snow. A silent reminder of where escape attempts led. "Prisoner 742, barked a voice behind him. Volkov, black gloves, blood under the nails, a face that looked like it knew everything Mikhail had ever hidden. "You're under special surveillance. Move!" Mikhail stood up, avoiding eye contact. Only one question echoed in his mind. Did Anya make it to the perimeter? And one more, sharp as a blade in a boot. Was he ready to die tonight? Part 2. Blizzard, betrayal, and the first blood cold hit his face like a rifle butt. The blizzard came earlier than expected. Wind ripped jackets off shoulders, snow blinded the eyes, turning the world into endless white blindness. But in that blizzard, Mikhail saw his chance. He stood at the eastern sector, shivering, soaked, but steel pulsed inside him. Beside him, inmate Klimov pretended to fix a damaged fence section, the very rotten post. The guard had stepped away, driven by the storm to seek shelter around the corner. They had 30 seconds, no more. Mikhail moved. The snow muffled his steps, and in a second he was on the other side of the fence. No more barbed wire, no more zones, just forest. Endless, deadly quiet, and just as hungry as he was. But on his third step, a voice rang out. "Halt!" A bullet whistled past his ear and lodged in a pine trunk. He ran, didn't look back. His heart pounded like a hammer. Trees blurred past like hallucinations. Wind whipped his face. Snow turned each step into agony. Behind him, shouts, dogs barking, a siren. And at that moment, Mikhail realized they weren't just hunting him. He had been betrayed. Part 3. First night of freedom and first loss's escape was just the beginning. After an hour of running, Mikhail found himself in bleak wilderness. Snow waist-deep. Visibility zero. The shouts and barking had faded, but the fear remained. He knew now was the most dangerous time. Not the camp, not the guards, the cold, the forest, loneliness. He walked another hour, then collapsed. His body couldn't go on. He lay staring at the gray sky, thoughts of Anya stabbing him like knives. Did she make it? Or was it a trap all along? He rose. His mind was hazy. He began yelling into the void, not from fear, but rage, helplessness. And then a voice answered, "Sokolov, is that you?" Mikhail froze. Not a hallucination, a voice, female. From behind the pines emerged a figure in torn prison robes, face wrapped. Anya. She had escaped too, but looked worse than him, and she was bleeding. "You were right. Eastern sector. I thought I wouldn't make it. One guard almost caught me, but—" She showed a bloody hand. "Cut myself, but got away." They embraced, not like lovers, like survivors, like those who stared death in the eye and chose life. But the forest doesn't forgive. On the horizon, another gunshot. Close, someone was following their trail. "We have to go," Mikhail rasped. "Now." And so, wounded, without supplies, without a plan, they stepped into the night, toward the next battle for life. Part 4. Hunger, beasts, and a broken compass. By the third day, they couldn't feel their fingers. Snow packed into their boots. Frost burned their skin into stone. Supplies? None. just a rusty tin with a scrap of salted pork that Anya had stolen from the infirmary before the escape. They rationed it into crumbs, into atoms, just to stay alive. They needed direction, north, south, anything. But the compass Mikhail had hidden under his shirt had frozen. The needle stuck, broken, or frozen solid. Then came the tracks. Not human, wide, heavy, bear tracks. They slept in turns, buried in snow, covering each other. Once, when Mikhail woke, Anya wasn't breathing. He shook her. Again, again. Only after 30 seconds did she gasp. He cried then, not from fear, from guilt. He felt he had doomed her, that he should never have dragged her into this hell. But Anya gripped his hand and whispered, "You gave me hope. That's more than I ever had." And he swore then to make it, no matter the cost. Ahead was the ridge. If they crossed it, they'd be in a different zone. They don't search there, they forget. But first, the night, with the bear. Anya heard it first. Crunch, heavy breath, scent. Mikhail grabbed a stick, his only weapon. His heart thudded in his throat. And from the shadows, the beast emerged, not a myth, not a fear, reality, huge, hungry, with eyes less angry than Volkov's. "Anya, run," he whispered. "If it moves, run. Don't look back." The bear stepped forward, and again, and then stopped, sniffed the air, then turned, and vanished into the snow. They sat frozen for another hour, not moving, not breathing. It was a night that changed them forever. Part 5. The Ridge, Bones, and Volkov's Trail. By the 4th day, the storm gave way to silence, a deadly silence, as if the forest itself held its breath and watched. Mikhail and Anya reached the foot of the ridge, where maps ended and legends began. The climb took hours. Mikhail carried Anya almost entirely. Her foot was frostbitten. Every step cost blood. Literally. Her bandaged foot leaked red through the makeshift wrappings. From the summit, they saw a valley, an abandoned village. No smoke, no people, just crumbling cabins and a white shroud of snow. Hope flickered in Mikhail's chest. Maybe food, a roof, salvation. But in the first cabin, death waited. Not just bones. A frozen body with wide, staring eyes clutching a knife. The tracks around the cabin were fresh. "We're not alone," Anya whispered. They found a half-buried cellar with salted fish and crusted salt. A feast. They ate in silence. They wept silently. 2 hours later, Mikhail heard the familiar sound, a click, metallic. He couldn't mistake it. A Mosin rifle's bolt action, and a voice, hoarse, muted, indistinct. But the voice, Volkov. "He's here," Mikhail whispered. "He didn't give up." The hunt had begun again. Part 6. The Siege and the Cost of Freedom. Volkov hadn't come alone. At dawn, Mikhail spotted tracks while checking a snare trap. 3 sets, one limping, one heavy. Judging by the depth, one quiet, almost soundless. He placed a twig on the porch, a signal to Anya. "Don't come out." Then he bolted the door behind him. They knew where he was, and he knew that they knew. By evening, the village turned into a trap. Mikhail crept from house to house via lofts like an old resistance fighter. He thought of his past, game theory, choices without winners, decisions without good outcomes. That night, they surrounded them. The first one came crawling. Mikhail saw him inching through the snow toward the window. No shouts, no pleas. Mikhail hurled a beam at him, and the man vanished under the snow with a gurgle. The second tried to burn them out. He hurled kerosene-soaked rags beneath the cabin. Mikhail stomped the fire with his hands, boots, snow, burning his palms. Anya emerged when she saw him faltering, barefoot, with a pot of boiling water. The second man screamed when the boiling liquid hit his face. The whole ridge seemed to echo with his cry. And then Volkov appeared. He didn't shout. He didn't advance. He stood still, watching. "Mikhail," he called, "you thought I'd let this go?" He tossed something into the snow. A letter. The one Mikhail had hidden under the barrack floorboard 3 years ago. A letter from his son. Mikhail flinched. Volkov picked it up, unfolded it, read it aloud, slowly, in the middle of the woods. "Dad, I believe you're innocent. I'm waiting for you." Volkov's voice cracked. "You didn't deserve this, but you ran, and I had to stay." It was clear now. Volkov was his former student. Part 7. The Final Choice. Mikhail froze. The forest seemed to vanish. Volkov's words, ragged and almost a whisper, filled the void. "I read it many times. Tried to understand how you could abandon your son, the one who loved you no matter what." Mikhail stepped forward. That letter. It was the voice of a past he buried in the barracks. Volkov. He was the boy from the seminar, the one who asked the uncomfortable questions, the one who quoted his articles. "You were at my final lecture," Mikhail whispered. Volkov nodded. "You spoke about every system having a breaking point, where control becomes absurd, where a human stops being a resource." He threw his rifle into the snow. "I stayed, Mikhail. I survived that same system. Not because I was stronger, because I was meaner." Mikhail sank to his knees. No strength left, just voice. And he spoke, not to Volkov, but to all the shadows around them. "You're right. I ran. I chose life, but I didn't know the cost. The death of friends, the cold, the torture of guilt. I'm not a hero. I'm a survivor." Volkov stepped closer. "I didn't come to kill you. I came to understand why you didn't give up, why you, a professor, made it this far." He fell silent, then added in a low voice, "I can't anymore. This system devoured me." Just then, Anya stepped out from behind. She held an axe, but her hands were trembling. "Is it over?" she asked. Volkov looked at her, at their emaciated faces, at the campfire where embers of hope glowed. "I'll give you a chance. Leave. I'll file a different report." He turned and walked back into the forest, back into the blizzard, like a spirit of the GULAG, settling his final debt. Epilogue. Beyond the edge. 3 days later, Mikhail and Anya reached the next village. A forest ranger found them, took them in, fed them hot soup, let them call. This time they had documents, new names. Mikhail Sokolov died in the GULAG. His son received a letter, a real one, from a strange address in a familiar hand. Anya worked in a village clinic. Mikhail at the library. They never spoke of the escape again. But every winter, on the coldest night, they built a fire by the river. And if you listened closely, through the pine trees, you might hear a whisper. "You're not a hero, but you survived, and that is already a legend." If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this one. Thank you for watching.